Hi, I'm Megan. If you like my channel, if you like what I have to say, please subscribe and drop a comment down below. Give it a thumbs up. Anyway, what I'm going to talk about is kind of controversial, depending on what you believe is controversial. It's about the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, I'm not trying to be a hater here. Okay, I'm speaking from my personal experience, and like I said, I know Jehovah's Witnesses. I've had Bible studies with them, so I know this isn't coming out of a place of ignorance. Now, I'm not gonna say that they're all bad, because way too many people do that. They call it a cult, and then they say a bunch of stuff. Like, for example, like I looked at a Christian pamphlet, and it was all about the Watchtower and how corrupted they were and stuff, and how they were like seen as the pinnacle of Christian literature or whatever. They're like basically the head honchos, but they never really mentioned the Watchtower in any of the Bible studies I've been to or any of the church services I went to. But that's not what this is about. Because they do have their strengths, trust me. I may not agree with the fact that they don't celebrate holidays, but they do have some good ideas. They do have some things to bring to the table. But I'm not going to talk about positive things today. Well, I am, in order to show both sides of it. But what I'm talking about this week, or today really, is the practice that they have against the rule they have against blood transfusions. Now, the Bible does have a verse saying not to drink blood, but they've taken that verse to the extreme. There's no biblical justification for not getting a blood transfusion. There's nothing in the Bible that says anything against blood transfusions. Now I'm going to try to come at this at like a neutral point of view, so both atheists and Christians can understand what I'm saying here. I mean, personally, I'm a Christian, but I know not everyone on YouTube is. For example, a lot of my favorite YouTubers, they're atheists. So I'm of course, going to apply logic that applies to daily life too. The idea that Christians can't take blood transfusions is inherently wrong in itself. Because like I said, the Bible doesn't say anything about not getting blood transfusion. It doesn't ban it anyway. And for my Christian viewers, a classic example of why it's okay is the story of the Good Samaritan. God calls us to help others. And I think blood transfusions fall under that category. God didn't want us to donate blood to each other, we wouldn't have blood types. There wouldn't be a built-in matching system. Okay? And for my atheist viewers, I'm going to tell a story that really illustrates my point. So you can get what I'm saying too. Understand my logic without a strictly Christian perspective. So, my mother went through chemotherapy. And the thing about chemotherapy is it doesn't just destroy the cancer cells, it destroys healthy cells too. Well, they tried to combat that. They gave her immuno-boosting drugs. One of them it was an injector. It was an injector thing. They put on her stomach, and it was supposed to inject some kind of immuno-boosting drug because she got neutropenia a lot. She got it after every single round of her chemo, all 6 times, except for the ones that were outpatient. But that's not what I'm going to be talking about here. I'm going to talk about when she had in treatment, inpatient rounds of chemo, because that's when it happened. So she had these 2-day stays where they would give her chemo both days. It was a 48-hour treatment each time. And when she got home from the hospital, she would be okay for about a week. I mean, she'd have symptoms, but she was fairly okay. But the one thing they tell us to watch out for is neutropenia. And if you want information on that, there's gonna be a link in this description below. Anyways, so in order to really understand it, I guess I'll have to give you some information about how that stuff works. So, in your body, there's these type of immune cells that fight off bacteria and pathogens and whatnot, stuff that is harmful to the body. They're called neutrophils. And they're supposed to be in the range of 1,000 or more. Just to give you some perspective. And the thing about, like I said, about chemo is it destroys healthy cells as well as bad cells, as well as cancer cells. Well, they tell you to come. One of the things your body does when it doesn't have a lot of immune system is it automatically gives you a fever to fight off some of those bacteria because that's what a fever is. That's why people get fevers, is because a fever's design, the way a fever works is a lot of pathogens can't function under a fever. Like, that's the reason your body raises your body temperature, because it's harder for diseases and pathogens and germs to live in your system and grow. And that's why neutropenia is also known as neutropenic fever is so dangerous. Because most of the symptoms when we get sick, the symptoms aren't caused by the virus or bacteria or what have you itself. It's caused by our immune response. But she had no immune system. So there would have been no symptoms. So the only symptom a lot of the times is neutropenic fever. So blah, blah, blah. Cancer patients have to be really careful about taking their temperature, because that's the only sign. Anyways, she had a fever, and so Dad drove her to the hospital, and she had to stay in the hospital for about a week. At this time, this is kind of dark, but I had tried to overdose on Benadryl. So, not to mention that, but my grandma Judy also had a fall. So, all of the women who were important to my dad were in the hospital at the same time, which was really hard on all of us. It wasn't just because I was having a rough relationship like most people think. It's because, well, my grandma said something to me when I was in the hospital. Well, she went came over without our permission to clean the house and stuff. And there was this big fight. And the cops ended up getting called. I'll talk to you about that in a later video. But she told me that I wanted my mom to get sick and die just because my room was a little bit messy. And I was already having a hard time dealing with mom's cancer as it is. So I started blaming myself even more. And so I was just so stressed. I'm like, fuck it, I can't deal with it anymore. So I couldn't deal with guilt. I couldn't deal with what was going on. So I told the paramedic I'd only taken like 15 Benadryl, but it was way more than that. So you know those bottles of Benadryl you get at the dollar store, right? The Dollar Tree. I have about 36 tablets in them. I took one in it. Not just one bottle, but 1.5 bottles. I just snapped. I felt like I couldn't take it. I couldn't take what was going on. So I took a whole bottle of Benadryl and told the paramedics it was 15. But 15 Benadryl when it was way more than that. I had taken so much Benadryl that my blood was literally pink. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the neutropenic fever. So, Dad told me that Mom was in the hospital too. And so I went up to visit her because she was on the same floor as me. And it was scary. She was in like a negative pressure room. So, bugs from outside couldn't get in. And sorry, I just woke up. And it was scary. Like, they had a lot of protections. Like, you couldn't go in without having a mask on. You had to put on hand sanitizer. It was really scary because her neutrophil count went down to 6, which can be deadly without treatment. And that's where my point of view, my personal experience comes in when it comes to what the Jehovah's Witnesses believe and their ban against blood transfusions and why I think it's so deadly. Refusal of blood transfusions has caused a lot of deaths. People have died probably by the hundreds since Jehovah's Witnesses started. And I have not personal experience, but it happened to one of my family members. They didn't die, but classic example is a blood transfusion is how you treat neutropenia. I mean, they have some medicines to boost your, they have some medicines to boost your immune system and get the count back up. They have people on antibiotics when they can't, antibiotics and antivirals when they can't fight off that stuff by themselves. But the main treatment is blood transfusions. And the thing about blood transfusions, in this case, they're needed. Like, if Mom hadn't gotten a blood transfusion, she'd be dead right now. And that's why I don't agree with the Jehovah's Witnesses banning blood transfusions. Now, I'm not one to criticize religion for the fun of it, I'll respect people's decisions, but some people don't know. Some people just follow it because their parents were Jehovah's Witnesses or didn't learn stuff in school, or maybe it's just a personal choice. And if it is, I respect that, but the thing about a personal choice is you need to know the other side before you commit to something. It's well known that blood transfusions are a life-saving procedure. So many people die from blood loss every year. And so, if you're going to choose not to take blood because you're Jehovah's Witnesses, if you're going to choose not to have blood transfusions because you're Jehovah's Witness, you should know the facts and figures. You should know that you have a higher chance of death. But yeah. So yeah. Like, blood transfusions are important in many situations. Like, sometimes someone gets hurt, or because it's an injury, or because it's a disease. Like, not just cancer, not just leukemia, but there's a bunch of different blood disorders that don't make enough immune cells. And for some of them, they're so severe, you have to do something called a bone marrow transplant, which is where they take bone marrow from someone else and then they put it in you so that to replace your immune system so you can fight stuff off. And that's how that works. Now, I'm not sure if Jehovah's Witnesses are able to, get bone marrow donations, but I know they kind of have a ban against blood transfusions, and I just wanted to, talk about that subject because medical science is a subject that's really near and dear to my heart. I don't exactly have a job in the medical industry yet, but it's something I want to do. And yeah, I'm not sure what part of the medical field I want to go into. I want to be a doctor, but I don't know if I'll be able to pay for it. I mean, medical science is so fascinating. I want to be in the medical field somehow. I mean, not an army doctor, I mean the field of medicine. So if I can't be a doctor, I'd love to be a nurse or a CNA or a paramedic or an EMT or something like that. Because, it's just such a fascinating field. And sorry I'm droning on. If you want to do more of your own research about the subject I'm talking about, you can find some links in the description below, which I'll include. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. Drop a thumbs up down below and comment if you want to. Peace out. Thank you. Thank you to all my subscribers that have subscribed so far. I hope more subscribe too, because I like doing these YouTube channels. I mean, these YouTube videos. I mean, I only have one channel, but you know what I mean. I like making videos. Peace out and have a good day.